What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Monday, October 30th, 2023, and I have another emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 12:56 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to just update you on the situation in the Middle East. We have some more concerning information coming out this morning, so let me get you up to speed. So, what you're looking at here is a map of the situation in Gaza. And so, apparently, Israel is attacking Gaza from three directions. And this morning, it was reported that they've been able to cut off the main road that goes to Gaza City from the south. Okay, so that would be right over here, this little arrow right here. There's this main highway that goes to Gaza City from the southern part of Gaza, and they were able to cut it off. So that's a very smart move. That would basically prevent Hamas from getting supplies from southern Gaza. And then over the weekend, the Israelis pushed in from the northeastern direction and the northwestern direction here. And I did show you guys the picture from the beach over here. The Israeli military was operating along the beaches here. And I think the reason why they were doing that, and this was mentioned by someone in the comments section, is that there's probably not a lot of booby traps and mines along the beaches, and they're easy to clear if there are mines. So they were coming in with bulldozers and clearing paths for Israeli tanks along the beach. So it looks like what Israel's going to do is they're going to come in along the beach and try to surround Gaza and cut off Gaza from the ocean and come in along the beachfront, which likely won't be heavily booby trapped. So I want to just read to you some more detailed information about this. So Israeli forces appear to be advancing in two directions around Gaza City. In Israeli media, statements from Hamas and Palestinian witness accounts. In the north of the Gaza Strip, Israeli armor was reported to be operating close to the Mediterranean coast, while Hamas said it was engaged in heavy fighting with the invading occupying force in northern Gaza. Separately, witness reports from inside Gaza described Israeli tanks cutting the main north-south Salah al-Din Road south of Gaza City and operating on the outskirts of the Zaytun and Shajaiya neighborhoods of Gaza City. Palestinian witnesses told the AFP news agency that tanks were seen in the Zaytun district on the outskirts of Gaza City. They have cut the Salah al-Din Road. If confirmed, the cutting of the key road would suggest that Israeli forces are attempting to cut off Gaza City from the south, in effect isolating and laying siege to the urban sprawl that extends north all the way to Beit Hanun and Beit Lahia. All right, so Israel is doing this very slowly, very carefully, and very intelligently. Okay, they're trying to surround the Gaza City without exposing their forces. They're trying to isolate it and siege it. You know, that's an old trick for warfare. You know, surrounding a city. It's siege warfare has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. So nothing really too spectacular. It's just classic warfare. Um, and the NATO task force currently being assembled in the Eastern Mediterranean appears to be the largest naval force ever assembled in the history of the region. More than 50 warships from 11 countries are in the waters of the Mediterranean and the Red Sea for the first time since 1945. Okay, so this is the largest naval force ever assembled in the Eastern Mediterranean, guys. More than Desert Storm, more than the wars in the early 2000s. Um, I mean, this is historic. Okay, this is historic, and we have CNN quoting U.S. sources that the U.S. Marine Corps rapid response force has been dispatched to the Eastern Mediterranean. This is the 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit, which has 2,500 Marines and 2 amphibious assault ships. And it was previously staying in the Red Sea. So now they're going to move up into the Eastern Mediterranean through the Suez Canal. 2,500 Marines, okay? Going to the Eastern Mediterranean. That is huge news, okay? We currently have a nuke sniffer plane operating in the Mediterranean, and it flew all the way towards Israel, which is very interesting. This is the first time I've ever seen a nuke sniffer plane fly in the Eastern Mediterranean. This is very, very interesting, and my guess is that it's probably being used to detect any kind of nuclear submarines operating in the Mediterranean, maybe Russian or some other country, because we do have 2 aircraft carrier strike groups in this area here. And here's a closer look at that nuke sniffer as it was flying in the Mediterranean, in the Eastern Mediterranean. You can see it flew all the way towards the Gerald Ford Strike Group, which is operating right here in this area just southwest of Cyprus. And then it flew back slowly, and it was doing this zigzag pattern here. Okay. And actually, in this area right here, just southeast of Sicily, is where we have the Dwight Eisenhower. I was able to find the location of the Dwight Eisenhower. And here we have a C-2 Greyhound. This is a plane that's used to resupply aircraft carriers. And I found it this morning on the flight tracker. And it flew from Sigonella, and then it landed on the aircraft carrier right here. So let me just show you a little closer where this is. So you can see it took off from Sigonella, and then it landed right here in the middle of the ocean, which obviously there's no bases in the middle of the ocean. So it landed probably on the Dwight Eisenhower, okay, which is the second U.S. aircraft carrier that's supposed to be going to the region. And this aircraft carrier is actually going to be going to the Persian Gulf, not the Eastern Mediterranean like we initially thought. They said they were going to send another one to the Eastern Mediterranean. It's actually going to be going just south of Iran, and it's going to take another 4 or 5 days for it to get there. Okay, here's a closer look when it was landing. This is a C-2 Greyhound. They bring supplies to aircraft carriers, okay, mail, food, whatever. And you can see it landed right there on the aircraft carrier. So I just measured the distance from where it is now approximately to the Persian Gulf and the Arabian Sea, and it's about 4,000 to 5,000 miles away from where it's going to be positioned. Okay, so if you do the math, that's about 4 days, 5 days. All right, so we're looking at the end of this week for the time when all hell could break loose in the Middle East. Israel's going to probably want to wait for this aircraft carrier to get close to Iran in case Iran tries to do something stupid. We have all the assets we need in the region to deal with that. Okay, same thing with the Houthi rebels. If we have to fly sorties into Yemen and bomb them, we need to have an aircraft carrier here. Okay, so I think what Israel's going to do now, the next couple of days, they're going to move slowly, deliberately. We're not going to see any massive incursion like we did Friday night. I think that's going to come this coming weekend. Okay, this coming weekend, end of this week, is when we're going to see that happen, in my opinion. Once this aircraft carrier gets over here near Iran, is when things are really going to start to kick off, and we're going to see the main event. Okay, Friday night was just the, I guess, the introduction. Okay, the initial stages. All right, but the main event is still yet to come, and I will be covering the main event 24/7. Okay, so make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the bell icon under the video here so you can get notified when I do these updates, and also when I go live, when I do the 24/7 coverage. So we have the chief of staff of Iran's armed forces. This is Iran's top general, saying that if Israel acts rationally, it should accept the ceasefire immediately and gain some time through negotiations. Wow. Some very, very strong words there from the top general of Iran, saying gain some time through negotiations, basically threatening Israel and saying that war's coming and we're going to attack you. So you better negotiate. That might actually buy you some time before we attack you. Crazy, crazy times we're living in. The Biden administration is preparing for the war between Israel and Hamas to spill into the Middle East and is focusing on ensuring adequate protection for U.S. forces in the region, U.S. and Israeli officials told Axios. All right, so this is why the ground invasion took so long to start, because Israel wanted to make sure all U.S. forces were in the region, which they're not, but most of them are. Okay, but before the real things kick off, they want to wait for everything to be in position, and also for the hostages to potentially be released, or maybe some way they can get in there and get those hostages out. But the main event is coming, guys. Okay, so make sure you're prepared. The U.S. is working to send a strong message of deterrence to Iran as concerns of a wider regional conflict escalate, the White House said Monday. We're certainly going to act if we have to continue to protect our troops and our facilities. We have proven that we will strike and act to do that, and that's a strong message that Iran needs to take away. We take those responsibilities seriously, said John Kirby, National Security Council coordinator. We also take our national security interest at large in the region very seriously, which is why the president has now employed 2 aircraft carrier strike groups. We've got to make sure we send a signal to all actors, not just Iran, but all actors, certainly Iran included, that we will take our national security interest very seriously. We will protect and defend our troops, and we'll do it at a time in a manner of our choosing, he told CNN. Okay. And this is coming just a day after Iran's president, Ibrahim Raisi, said that Israel has crossed the red lines and it may force everyone to take action. This was yesterday. I reported on that. So the White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby saying some strong words today, saying that the U.S. is going to take our national security interests very seriously. So it doesn't look like the U.S. is going to back down by any means. The Pope called for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas yesterday and repeated his call for the immediate release of hostages. And a top Vatican official spoke by telephone on Monday with the Iranian foreign minister, Abmira Dolahein. And this is that crazy foreign minister in Iran that always says those crazy things. The Vatican said in a statement that the Vatican's foreign minister, Archbishop Paul Gallagher, expressed serious concern in the Holy See about what is happening in Israel and Palestine, emphasizing the absolute necessity to avoid widening the conflict and to reach a 2-state solution for a stable and lasting peace. The World Bank reported Monday that oil prices could be pushed into uncharted waters if the violence between Israel and Hamas intensifies, which could result in increased food prices worldwide. Indermit Gill, the World Bank's chief economist, said Russia's invasion of Ukraine has already had disruptive effects on the global economy that persist to this day. If the conflict were to escalate, the global economy would face a dual energy shock for the first time in decades, not just from the war in Ukraine, but also from the Middle East, Gill said. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said that the events in Ukraine and the Middle East may result in war in Europe. Okay, so the German Defense Minister saying war in Europe could come because of the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East. And Jordan is asking for more Patriot missile systems. And this is in addition to the 11 Patriot missile systems that the U.S. is sending to the Middle East right now. And Jordan wants additional Patriot systems. Okay, so this is a big red flag that things are about to get crazy, guys. Okay, you don't move 11 Patriot missiles somewhere 11 Patriot missile systems somewhere, unless you expect some crazy event to take place. Okay, just think about how effective one Patriot missile system was in Ukraine. Okay, just one Patriot missile system that was placed in the capital of Ukraine was a game changer, and it started to shoot down all Russian missiles, and it even took out Russian hypersonic missiles multiple times. The Russians fired their Kinzhal hypersonic missile at the Patriot system, and they fired like three different types of missiles. They fired like an Iskander, a Kinzhal, and also like a KH-55 air launch cruise missile. They fired like their three best missiles at the Patriot system, and it shot down all of them at the same time. Okay, and that was just one system. Okay, one system had that effect on the war in Ukraine. Imagine what 11 systems would do. Okay, so you don't move 11 systems for no reason, and Jordan is asking for more. All right, Hezbollah leader Nasrallah will be giving a speech on Friday, November 3rd. That's this Friday at 3 p.m. local time. And this is his first public speech since the onset of the war. So he could declare war on Israel or give some kind of ultimatum. So that we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But it looks like everything is lining up. All the stars are lining up for something to go down this weekend. Okay, the aircraft carrier will be in position. The Hezbollah leader is going to make a statement. So more U.S. equipment is going to be going in. So this weekend looks like it's going to be the main event. Syrian state media is reporting that the headquarters of the 112th Mechanized Brigade of the Syrian Army in the city of Nawa has been attacked by Israeli combat aircraft, which resulted in significant damage and casualties. Okay, so the Israeli Air Force launched airstrikes on the headquarters of the 112th Mechanized Brigade of the Syrian Army. So the Israeli Air Force literally attacked the Syrian Army, guys. Okay, this war is spreading already. Okay, it's already starting to spread. We now have Israel attacking the Syrian military, not just the militias that are there, the Iranian-backed militias, the terrorists. They're not just striking the terrorists anymore. They're going after the military as well. All right. Syrian media reported that near the Syria-Iraq border, American fighter jets destroyed a convoy belonging to Iranian militias last night. Apparently, they were moving weapons into Syria. Okay, so the U.S. launched an airstrike on a convoy full of weapons. And Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, spoke today with his Qatari counterpart about freeing the hostages held by Hamas. And Qatar is trying to speak with Hamas and work out some kind of a deal. So maybe they're going to have some kind of a deal for these hostages. The Israeli military said on Monday its troops have killed 4 prominent Hamas operatives as part of its expanded ground operations in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli Defense Forces, in a statement, provided the following names of killed Hamas members: Jamil Baba, commander of Hamas Naval Forces in its Central Brigade; Muhammad Safadi, commander of the Anti-Tank Missile Unit; Muamman Hijazi, a prominent operative in Hamas's anti-tank missile unit; and Muhammad Audallah, a senior operative in Hamas's production department. The Israeli military also said it destroyed terror infrastructure, including anti-tank missile launchers and other launch pads. Israeli Air Forces launched an overnight operation against armed Palestinian groups in the West Bank. They reported new operations against armed Palestinian groups in the West Bank, as the Palestinian Ministry of Health said 4 men were killed in an Israeli air and ground operation in Jenin. The Israeli military said the Jenin operation was one of several carried out across the West Bank. Others took place in Hebron and in various villages across the territory. Israeli forces had located and destroyed what they said was a booby-trapped observation post, as well as a vehicle in which ammunition, and military equipment were found. All right, so Israel is now fighting on multiple fronts. Okay, they have to deal with these sleeper agents in the West Bank. They have to deal with Hamas in Gaza. They have to deal with the Syrian army, which is potentially launching some of those missiles and rockets into northern Israel, along with Hezbollah in southern Lebanon as well. And then you also have the Iranian militants or militias that are operating in Iraq and Syria. Okay, and then that's not including Iran itself and all the military that they have, and then possibly Turkey could even get involved and attack Israel. So Israel's fighting on like 5 fronts right now: West Bank, Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq. Okay, so this is not good. Okay, the Israeli Air Force says it attacked about 600 Hamas targets over the weekend, and Israel appealed to foreign journalists to immediately leave the northern part of the Gaza Strip due to the increased scale of the military operation. And the firefighting service in Israel says that it's announcing a general state of emergency and general mobilization throughout all of Israel due to the imminent danger of the expansion of the threats at all fronts. Okay, so the firefighting service in Israel declaring a state of emergency and a general mobilization. All right. There's been rumors that U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drones have been operating over Gaza. Let me show you some flight paths here. So here we have the suspected MQ-9 Reaper drones that may have been assisting Israel. These are armed drones, okay? These are armed, so they could be armed. They don't have to be, but they're capable of being armed. And here we have a bunch of C-17s and NATO transport aircraft moving more equipment and supplies and weapons and ammunition and personnel into the Eastern Mediterranean. I mean, look, a dozen plus Patriot missiles, 50 plus warships, hundreds of military transport planes, all of this in the Eastern Mediterranean, guys. I mean, this is insane. The buildup is insane. And a Hamas spokesman told the Financial Times that the organization did not expect this response from America after the October 7 attack, adding, "What we see now is the U.S. entering the war, and we did not expect that." According to Global News, Canadian Special Forces, including elements of Joint Task Force 2, are currently on the ground in Israel to assist in the security of the Canadian Embassy and its staff, as well as to provide an advisory role to the Israeli Defense Forces alongside other foreign special forces already in the country. Israeli media is saying that Hezbollah has started using their long-range rockets, and earlier today, a U.S. Special Operations plane, the C-146A Wolfhound, landed at Hamat Air Base in Lebanon and Larnaca Airport in Cyprus. And this aircraft is used to provide U.S. Special Operations Command flexible and responsive operational movement of small teams and cargo. All right, so maybe they dropped off some U.S. tier one units in Lebanon, possibly. The Lebanese prime minister is concerned about a full-blown war in the Middle East. "I see that there is a real race between a ceasefire in Gaza and escalation, because escalation is not only affecting Lebanon, and I fear that escalation will spread to the whole region, plunging the Middle East into chaos." Okay, that's what the Prime Minister of Lebanon, Najib Mikati, said in a video interview with AFP TV. And Hezbollah and its affiliated groups attacked the city of Haifa with rockets from southern Lebanon last night. The Associated Press reports that the Lebanese army says its troops have discovered 21 launchers on its side of the blue line near northern Israel. That's the border with northern Israel. And dismantled them. It said one of them was equipped with a rocket ready to be fired. So the Lebanese army basically dismantled 21 rocket launchers that were probably set up by Hezbollah. The Russian Defense Ministry reports that they shot down 8 Ukrainian Storm Shadow missiles targeting the Crimean Peninsula last night. And the Russian Security Service detained a citizen of the Russian Federation in Sevastopol on charges of high treason. And apparently he was providing Ukraine with information about the defense fortifications of Crimea. And the date for discussion in the Turkish parliament on the possible adoption of the protocol on Sweden's accession to NATO has not yet been set. Okay, so the Turkish parliament has not decided on a date to vote on Sweden's accession to NATO. We know that the president of Turkey already ratified it, but the Turkish parliament has to ratify it, and then Hungary has to ratify it. So there's still some obstacles for Sweden's accession to NATO. And here we have a NATO radar plane operating in Latvia. And this is very concerning. There's been a lot of NATO reconnaissance activity in the Baltics the last 3 weeks. There's been a lot of high priority reconnaissance planes flying in this area. There's been also Russian cargo planes, military cargo planes going into Kaliningrad. So we have to watch this area very carefully, guys. It's possible that when things kick off this weekend in the Middle East, when the main event happens, that we could see Russia try to take advantage of the situation and maybe attack Lithuania from Kaliningrad and from Belarus. Russia has forces in northern Belarus here. Okay, so we'll have to watch this area and see what happens. But that's the latest information that I have, guys. I will return later on this afternoon or this evening to post another update, and then probably another update later on tonight as well. So probably 2 more updates today. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the bell icon so you're notified of my updates. And other than that, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.